This is the Friday evening U.S. Sangha call. Currently, Dhammarato is feeling a bit weak and having a lack of appetite, so we've asked Phra Cathal to lead today's call. I'll let you go ahead and take it from here, Kat.
Okay. I suppose we have a few questions. Me and Ivan were just talking about the fact that he finds himself slipping into the same old, using the phone a lot and stuff like that. And about the excuses, like when you start to see the unwholesome, how it is we continue to feed the unwholesome. A lot of unwholesome thoughts are just sort of excuses to continually take part in that behavior, that unwholesome behavior. Oh, I want to do that again, and the reason why you should. And I mean, could say I've been a victim to that for a long time, making up excuses. And he also said he needs sometimes to feel like someone to shout at him to stop it, like almost like you tell a parent, or sorry, a parent would tell their child, stop doing that, don't eat the Lego piece, you have something you have to shout at the bad behavior of the children. But I think that would be, a lot of the purpose of the Sangha is to keep each other in check. And that's one of the great benefits of a Sangha, is to have that support and community. But really, like when it comes down to your practice, it's not that you really have to shout at yourself, but again, you really want to start recognizing, is this satisfying or not, rather than kind of getting angry at yourself or getting mad at you constantly going back to the old ways, the old habits. It's not about that really, because that's going to happen anyway, But the fact is, every time it does happen, like you really, really want to see, is this satisfying? Is this dissatisfying? That's the key, is the clarity on whether or not these things are actually making you happy or not. And the more you see it doesn't make you happy, you're just going to naturally let go. But it's an old habit. That's really what it is. It's just an old habit. And these things take time, but you continually want to practice and practice again and again, remembering to switch those thoughts to the wholesome, when those come up, those excuses, the kilesas, the defilements, they're like a little excuse fabricating machine. They just have excuse after excuse about why and a story, and then you just remember, aha, I see you, That's not me, that's not mine, that's just the nature of the defilement. But it's not much to do in regards to the situation that you're in your house, or you're in your car and you have your phone. That is not important, but it's just being here and now and remembering to look and see, see the fact that these thoughts the mind is inclined to just look at the sugar to get what it wants, to get the gratification. But if you maintain the fact that's not good for me, then you probably will be more inclined to not give in to it. And you'll see it just passes away, and that was no big deal. So it just takes more practice, So I said that's my answer for Ivan, anyway,
Thank you.
And Luke's question was about the uncertainty and the unknown, right? Something about that? What to do when you feel the uncertainty of not being sure about what to do, or the unknowingness of what life is, what's happening in life right now and stuff like that? Or was there more to it than that?
Yeah, that's what he asked. Basically, it's crazy to know, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you my experience, but I hope other people can share their experience about how to deal with the unknown feeling. It's an interesting thing, like, the more you come into the present moment without having a sense of going anywhere, getting anything, going to any particular place, or wanting to change anything. It is mysterious. I think we talked about this even last week in our small little group. The fact is, the present moment is very mysterious, you know. It's very mysterious. And it takes a certain level of comfort with that sense of not being sure what's going on. And being okay with the fact you really don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm just projecting, you know, that's how I feel. I just don't know what the hell's happening anymore. And there's a sense of, you know, sometimes it can be very terrifying. You can go quite deep into that sense of you just don't know what's going to happen. But there's a certain enjoyment of it because you realize it's so much better to enjoy the mystery of the present moment rather than the restless trying to figure it out, trying to make a plan all the time about what should happen, where you should go. And you always wanted to fix it a certain way and avoid all of the discomforts and things you don't like rather than just being open to, yeah, you don't really know what's going to happen. And that also takes some work in the sense of when we do have intentions to be here now, to see through some of the pollution that can be associated with that intention. Sometimes there's pollution in the attention that there's still a sense of, well, I'm here, but I'm still sort of, you know, I'm hoping, I'm wishing things will go a certain way. And sometimes they're a little bit in the background. But if you do sort of see that too, there is this real genuine sense of not sure. You know, that's about it. It's just not sure. And then there's well, now what? You know, there's always that thought about now what? Now what should I do with my life? But it's always about being satisfied with the fact you don't know. It's not about figuring anything out. It's just continually being okay with all of these feelings that come up. Even the Buddha referred to himself often as, he usually didn't talk about himself in a first person, you know. Never said, hey, I am the Buddha or anything like that. Sometimes he would say, I am the awakened one. But that was very rare. He usually called himself the Tathagata, which usually is translated as the one who is here now, or sometimes the translations is not going or not coming or not becoming. And the stage of just being here is also intertwined with the skill of not getting caught up in that old habit of going into unwholesome states again and again, going somewhere where really is the defilement wants to go, wants to be fed again and again. So there's a certain amount of wisdom to be here now and to constantly see the mind, to be watchful, mindful right here and now. Where does the mind want to go? What does the mind want to get away from? It's always in this dualistic, I want something and I want to get away from something. It's almost like a binary code in which the mind works. It just wants to get something and go somewhere, or it wants to avoid something, which will also be an action of doing something to get away from something. So they're kind of both in that same boat. So it takes a skill to actually be here, be comfortable, and see, you know, everything's okay. And that's the attitude of, yeah, everything's actually okay right now. And also, what I like to say is like baking in to that process, not just like putting the bread in the oven, but actually baking into the present moment, getting really satisfied, staying away from all the unwholesome. And then we can also say it's a kind of like an immersion into the present moment. And I fairly recently listened to a talk by Tenisro, Ajahn Tenisro, where he talked about the fact the present moment is not the goal itself. But when we're here and now, you know, this is the time to get really baked into the present moment. It's not just on the superficial kind of ground level. You really want to like be here now and get the mind straightened out right now. And you wake up right now, make a change, you know, it's like that. Getting the ball rolling whenever you remember to. So it's not just about the present moment, but using it to develop staying here now and having the skill to stay here now. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
thanks, Cathal. Thank you.
this, yeah, I know that my mind really loves to plan things and like constantly, um, this want to know. I mean, yeah, it's just all over the place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course. These are all habits, These are all habits. That's all really.
not running away from that uncertainty and just being okay with that. Uh, uh, it's just crazy how much I need to remind myself. And it's almost like, once my mind goes there and it understood, oh yeah, I've been here many times. We can be actually really okay with that. That's when my mind, um, you know, is able to, just bake into this present. But it's almost like I have to enter the door. If like the door is open and I can smell how nice it would have been if I entered the door, but the mind is like very resistant. It's like you said, it's old habit. It's very scared. Um, it wants to know the future or whatever. But it's like once I enter that door, and I know, oh yeah, I've been here. Yeah, I just no matter how much I remind myself, it doesn't make sense sometimes. But once I enter the door, then it makes sense. And it's kind of frustrating. Like the effort, it feels like a lot. It feels like there's a lot of effort needs to be done. But once I enter the door, like the effort is already there. It's
That's
it's
what.
frustrating. It's the kilisa. It's like they just make some bunch of excuses. It's so frustrating. And
It's what they are. It's all they ever do. But with the effort, it's interesting. Yeah, it's certain. It's certainly the fact that it does take effort. It does feel like a lot of effort in the beginning, but there is some point where that initial, let's say, exertion of effort becomes a sort of energy itself. It almost switches from effort to energy. It's like you've got the ball rolling. There's not much to do. It's just going itself. And that's where the practice becomes very fun, I would say. Not so much fun in the beginning because there's resistance and there's this continual sense of I have to put the effort in. Oh, I have to go again. Oh, another, like sort of like that. But the more you practice applying that again and again and again over and over, it becomes an energy itself. And that's an important. I would say that's a kind of the fulfillment of the noble right effort. The fact that it becomes an energy itself. It's not no longer effort. It's just a kind of you're just here and it's things have become fun. It's a real sort of game to play. But again, it's important to know that if you're not hitting that point, it's maybe because again you have to keep putting the effort in. Don't slip away back into the unwholesome. You have to keep again and again and again. Just I have some people used to say, "Fake it till you make it." I've recently heard people say, "Gaslight yourself." I like that because that's what it is, really. You have to do sort of put the effort in again and again until you make it, and you know for certain. I mean, it won't be a sort of, "Oh, have I made it? Have I?" It will be crystal clear that things have become a lot different than they initially were. That what took a lot of effort and what seemed very difficult is now it's nothing. It's just throwing the ball around. It's not like a rock. You're throwing a baseball around. So that's what right effort is. It takes the burden away. But in the beginning, yeah, it does feel like a bit of a burden. Can feel like that, but again, you start to notice the things themselves are not burdens. It's often our attitude towards things generally that makes it feel like a burden. But yeah, it's a bit of a burden when you're starting to change from the unwholesome to the wholesome. But it's just the nature, yeah. It's the nature of spending your whole life doing a particular set of habits and then going against that. I mean, it takes effort, yeah. It's like learning an instrument, or like, old people, they're generally very resistant to learning new things. Even I've noticed myself now, I get a little bit more resistant to like learning things, and even learning Thai or something like that. Really, I hate learning languages, but I just do it, and now it's like, oh, this is kind of fun, It's not that. It's just that sense of resistance, and I'm sure there's something going on in the brain that actually is giving us that initial strong resistance because we have been going down the same path, the same. Yeah, it's like a path in the forest. You walk over it 1,000 times. It's like well laid out, and then suddenly you want to take another direction. It's like full of weeds and thorns, and it's not clear where to go. I mean, we don't like that. We like the easy way out, but you do have to kind of straighten yourself out as to what direction is the direction to go, and then build a pathway in that right direction, which is the Dhamma. You really want to develop a strong familiarity with what is, the right way to go about things, and then keep developing that because that's the new path you want to take. So there's resistance. It's not easy, but yeah, that's the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that it's just really because I drop the balls and I go into that unwholesome. So the effort to wake up again is like, wow, it's wow.
Yeah, it's just one thought. You can just remember many times. It's just literally one thought at a time. It's not a big deal. We often have to. We often think about seeing it in a sort of a perspective of this is a big period of time and a big journey and a big deal. But in the actual practice, it's literally just one thought at a time. Just this breath. I mean, it's so hard to just. It's hard, yeah, to think about. Oh, just staying with this breath for the next hour. But rather, if you just stay with the breath right here and now, it's not a big deal. It's always about the sense of approaching what you're doing, like the attitude to what you're doing that gives you a kind of a friendliness to it, or you can make a burden for yourself. It's really that choice. Whether you just want to have the simplicity of having a wholesome thought, or, oh no, I have to have 10,000 wholesome thoughts. That's my goal. Like, come on,
I understand that it's like the opposite of middle way. Like my mind goes back to that place where it's like, oh, I need like 500 wholesome thoughts to. And that's a lot of work, but yeah.
Yeah, I have to do all this work and then I'm gonna feel good. And it's like, no, no, no. It's just immediate. And then see how good you can feel. It's just like that. This feels really good. This thought that everything's okay feels really nice. And how good can I make that feel? Just make it a game, Instead of, oh, I have to do this and then I'll feel good, or, oh, I have to do this again and again. I have to go through all of this practice. I have to reach this stage. I have to attain this thing. Like all these thoughts are the kind of Western uh, fascination or infatuation with progression and going step to step to step to this stage to that stage. But that's not how it plays out. It really doesn't play out like that. These things sort of happen themselves if you have the attitude that just being here is enough. Being with the wholesome is enough, hanging out with the wholesome. That's how I like to think about it. I generally don't actually think I'm going to practice meditation. I just think, all right, now time to just hang out a bit, hang out with my breath, enjoy it. And when the unwholesome comes up, I just go back to hanging out. That's the attitude, and it works very well for me. It's not like I have to do something very important and get this some special insight or some special state, and we'll see what happens. These things may happen, but it's not like the goal or something.
It's like making the bar very low, right? Like
it's throw away the bar, Like, go have a higher low bar, just be here and enjoy.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because if you think about it, like if you have to buy, like these kinds of thoughts, throwing idealism and having a rule of standards and stuff like that, I've never actually found it beneficial to have holding myself up to standards. It doesn't help with my practice too much, you know. And idealism has always made my practice harder. Like having idealistic thoughts about, well, I should be really, really, you know, like this, and I want to get, I want to be the best at that, and I have a habit of doing that myself. Probably because I had a really competitive house growing up. I mean, there's so much competition with my brothers, so I have this sense that I have to be the best at everything. But it has never helped once in my life practicing Dhamma. So I've sort of just taken all that away and seen the benefit of doing that. It's so nice to take all that weight away. The skill and profoundness of much of the practice is just in the nature of repeating it again and again and again. It's not in any particular model or framework of it being insightful, or the Dhamma being deep, or the Dhamma being mystical, or something like that. It's just the repetitive nature of applying and sustaining your mind into the wholesome, because it's so against the grain of our tendencies to be unwholesome.
I start to think that it's kind of beneficial to know the conditioning, like because for me I kind of and it's a bit similar because growing up in an Asian household where I expected to be something, be somebody. Anytime I have the thoughts to like you said, like there's this idealism, it never goes well for me. So it's sort of like I really have to go the opposite way. Is it? I do think so.
Well, if you mean by the opposite way, what do you mean by that
Well,
exactly?
basically like what you said, like just dropping the standard altogether.
Yes, but I would say that's different than going the opposite way. That's just going nowhere. Because
All
going
right.
the opposite way is kind of rebelling against that. And I also remember I used to do that
Mm.
a little bit. You know, I used to be a bit more sort of rebelling against that. Oh, I should be all posh and all nice. Instead, I'm going to be all over the place and getting into trouble all the time. I just love rebelling. I don't know why, but uh, uh, that's going the opposite way. That's sort of creating another. That in many ways, that's creating another burden for yourself. That's following the low bar. You don't want to have low standards for yourself or high standards. It's just being here with reality. There's no bar. There's no good or bad, really. You know, it's just things are. And it's the same with yourself. And what you are is just what you are. It's not good or bad. It's just people around you are still caught up in that whole mindset that this means this and that means that. So they're going to start projecting that onto you. And especially when you're around that all your life, it really feels real, you know, it feels real because we believe it. And what you believe, the power of that placebo is not, you know, it's no joke. I mean, you really create the way you feel. The mind is the forerunner. We are creating the way we feel. So we have to wake up to that. It's quite part of this process of practice is, you know, waking up to the fact that we are creating the way we feel through our thoughts. So as you take control of that, you want to let all that go, you know. But letting it go really means when it comes up that you're no longer want to play those games anymore. You see, it's just empty, you know. There's nothing there. It's just some bullshit, some shit someone made up. Yeah, that's all it is. But if you buy into it, then you're gonna feel it. It's gonna feel real. That's all it is remembering the sati. That's why we practice anapanasati to get our mind. Let's say, as Buddhadasa would say, it's like sort of getting it fit for work. And to see that stuff continually, see it arising, and not getting caught up in the whole game, you know. Or sometimes in other traditions, well, not other traditions, but sectarian kinds of traditions, you often hear the word deprogramming, deprogramming out of the matrix or something like that, you know. But it's true in a way. You are sort of deprogramming the mind through all of the various things running on through that early conditioning that we all went through. But yeah.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any kind of question or something? Or anything you want to talk about?
Hi, Cathal. Greetings from Boston.
Hello.
Man, you just have such a nice vibe.
Thanks, bro.
I feel you're so at peace with yourself.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
And likewise, thank you for being on the call. I hope Dhammarato is better soon.
Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. I hope so too.
About resistance. Seems that my whole goal in life is resisting. I have a condition where I just, whatever people want from me, I don't, it's called, there's a name for it. Do you ever feel that you're put upon when demands come to you?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And you just, how do you, it seems that, but you don't resist, right?
My worst habit is rebelling against everything. I don't know why. But whenever someone puts their expectations on me, I usually get very like a dog. I start barking back at them. But nowadays, it's more like sort of seeing that people are just mostly in a state of wanting something. And when you have gotten more relaxed within yourself, you just see it, you just see the continual craving and people want something from you. And what I've realized is stay away, just stay away from people because they're going to drag you into their world of defilements and you just want to stay away. You don't want to make a big fight about it. I mean, it depends on your situation, yeah. But that's how I deal with it. I just stay away. I mean, I don't do it like in some kind of black or white fashion. Of course, I have to deal with people, but as best as I can, I'll just stay away. And I'm focused on straightening my mind out. I don't want to buy into all these things. And that's
But how
all
about
it is.
how about the basic demands of life? Life is always demanding. We got to eat. We didn't. Do you feel that you? I feel that we didn't. I didn't choose this. Well, I think I didn't choose this incarnation, but I feel that I resent the fact that life is always life itself is always demanding of me. Then is that not a problem for you?
I mean, you just accept that this is part of life, and you don't have any sense of wanting it to be different because the fact that this is required, that's all you do is accept it. And whenever you say yourself, oh, I wish it wasn't like this, see, that's really a delusional. That's when we talk about delusion. It can be rooted in this completely dysfunctional sort of idea about reality. Oh, why is this like that? When it's always been like that, why should I have to exercise? I always want to sit on my ass all day or something like that. But the fact is, we have to sort of tune ourselves in with reality. The body does need exercise, it does need healthy food. I do need to drink a fair bit of water, and stuff like that. You just accept that, even pain in the body. There's pain and there's sickness. People are dying, and you just accept that. It's part of nature. You have a thought about it, really. It's just, oh, that's the way it is. You could say that's pretty much all Dhamma, wanting nature to be different. But once you understand the cause of something, let us say the cause of the dukkha in that situation is, oh, I have to eat. Oh, I have to do all this work to eat. Oh, I have to make a living to eat. Well, yes, I have to eat, and I'm going to do something about it. So we just switch from thinking in a problem and just thinking in solutions all the time and keep your mind wholesome. That's the goal, That's the practice. Keep the mind in a wholesome state about the way things are, because that's what the way things are. And if you go against that, you will experience bad feelings. Go with the flow, as they say. So yeah, that's what I think about that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ajahn Chah always say not sure, right? Find that to be very helpful. But sometimes I'm curious, can I take it too far? Like, isn't life better when you have some certainty of how things should be? Like you described, your experience lately has been like you not even want to know what's gonna happen next. And I know that there's a part of my brain still wants to know, right? So but just seeing that, right? I think I'm just answering my own question here. Just seeing that that's just how the mind is. It's an old habit. I'm
Well,
kind of just
let's say Ajahn Chah would also say that wanting to see certainty in that which is uncertain is surely going to cause you dukkha. You have to remember that this desire to find certainty in things that are completely probabilistic is just a recipe for some bad feeling. You know, if you assume or put expectations on things that are always changing all the time, for sure you're going to have bad feelings. But generally, these things are really unconscious most of the time. How we expect and assume things to be a certain way. That's why we practice sati, having sati, anapanasati, and many things are certain. You know, I mean, there's gravity. You know, there's laws of nature. I know I'm going to probably eat. It's highly likely tomorrow I'm going to eat. But how affected am I by if I'm not going to eat, for example? So this thing is not to worry about tomorrow. I know I'm going to take another shit probably. Maybe I fall off my cookie and die. I don't know, you know. But you can definitely, you know, you definitely accept certain things are very likely to happen again and again and again. But there's so much that you're completely uncertain of, like the next thought. What's your next thought going to be?